So unless you've been hiding underneath a rock, you're probably aware of some of the public safety issues that city of San Francisco has had. Oakland has, San Francisco has ongoing major issues. Number one concern in San Francisco for its mayor, Mayor London Breed, is to hire more police officers. Unfortunately, that is not going all that well. In the most recent class, they graduated 6 individuals. San Francisco Police Department is shy about 600 police officers to have on staff that would provide adequate minimum levels for public safety. So we're shy 600, but hey, we just graduated 6. I'm sure this is going to go well. I mean, this is going in the right direction, aren't we? No. Let's get into it. Here we go. So a thankless job, big city police force graduates just 6 new cops in its latest academy class. This is something that I have been talking about for a long time. And because city of Seattle, Portland, LA, they're all looking for police officers. Minneapolis, I mean, you name every major big city that the leadership is, sorry folks, but they're blue. They ain't red. And even in the red cities, we've got lack of police officers. And it's because we have vilified policing as a profession. Don't defund the police because they're all bad. They're all murdering everybody, right? They're all racist. Well, okay. But now we're on this kick where we're trying to get more in through the system. And this is how it's going. 6 graduating officers. And these are not cops that can even go out and provide help right now. They got to go out and do their field work. They got to get out, they've got to do their apprenticeship, for lack of better words. You can't just throw somebody willy-nilly on the streets. And even then you've got 6 cops that are newbies, right? You want to put your public safety in the hands of newbies? I mean, I'd rather have the 27-year-old veteran or 27-year veteran out there that knows how to handle it, that has years and years and years of experience, but vast majority of those have already quit, right? And they've retired. And they're like, I'm out. Peace out. I'm done. See ya. The understaffed San Francisco police force graduated just 6 new officers in its latest class, according to the department, as the city tries to beef up staffing to stave off a poor public image that the city is rife with crime. You're going to have some major conventions not come back to San Francisco. That is happening right now as we speak. And so much of it has to do with public safety. They don't want their convention goers. They don't want, their vendors. They don't want owners of companies to be impacted by crazy street conditions that are just not safe. And a lot of it has to do with you don't have enough cops to call 911 and have them come. The new recruit class received their stars at a small and quick pinning ceremony at the Lake Merced Boathouse Thursday evening. There are 6 graduating recruit officers. That's got to be disappointing. I guess it's better than anything less than 6, though, right? I mean, glass half full. All right, you got 6. It's better than 5. Better than 0. Better than the big goose egg. Think about it. Who wants to be a cop in San Francisco? Who wants to be a cop in Oakland? Hey now. Real thrill seeker. 4 graduates are bilingual and fluent in languages such as Spanish and Tagalog. The 279th recruit class has 3 members who have earned bachelor degrees. So 50% of this graduating class has a college degree. That's amazing. Yeah, but you're talking trace. And trace out of SACE, right? Members of the class have previously been employed in fields such as security, construction, trades, and engineering. That right there names 4 out of the 6, right? 4 out of 6. They've just described 66% of the, whatever that percentage is, 4 out of 6, 2 out of 3. Yeah, 66, right? One of the graduating officers served in the United States Marine Corps. Awesome. That's great. You need like 50 cops in here, because how many of these are going to wash out? Boots on the ground. That guy isn't going to make it. That gal isn't going to make it. This isn't really what she thought it was going to be. They thought it was going to be more video game simulation. right? I mean, some of these are going to wash out. When you've only got 6 to begin with, it's not going to end well. And during this same period that you've produced 6, how many police officers in San Francisco have quit, have retired, have made a lateral movement out of San Francisco to a city that is less impacted by public safety issues, such as, rampant homelessness, drug abuse, crime, dash and grabs, all of this stuff. You want to be a cop, you want to live. And it's one of those things where if you know somebody that's a police officer, you tell them, hey, stay alive. Because it's not that far-fetched with the criminal element you've got running around right now to have something crazy happen, right? San Francisco is experiencing a wave of high crime that has earned the city an international reputation of lawlessness and plagued with street misery. But they did clean it up for Dreamforce. They cleaned it up for Dreamforce, right? Let's get the streets all cleaned up. Let's make the park a ping pong area. And we're just going to do a lot of good stuff here. Mayor London Breed has made it her administration's #1 priority, numero uno, to recruit more officers for the department, which is short some 600 officers from full staffing of over 2,000 sworn personnel. So they completed 33 weeks of training. They'll begin a 16-week field training program at various district stations. The small class was not lost on residents, with many saying the current political environment and attitudes towards law enforcement dissuading many from a career as a cop. That's exactly what you've got going on. But, for the pay, you can make some money as a cop doing overtime though, right? And you can, but that means you've already worked a 40-hour week and then you're going to go hammer, some more. So work-life balance. But if you're young and aggressive, we had one police officer here in Seattle. I think he made like close to $500,000 with overtime. That's impressive. But I mean, he's basically given up that year of his life and maybe he doesn't care. Maybe it's like, yeah, whatever. That's a lot of overtime. You need to have, you can have a girlfriend, but I guess you buy the girlfriend a lot of presents. Sorry, I can't go out on a date. I got to go do OT, right? Congratulations and stay safe, wished Edward McMahon. Wonder how many started in this class? 10? What's the fallout? Down 5 to 600 will never catch up with classes of 6 or 25, which is what I hear is the current class. Correct. That's why I say you got to have classes like 50, like you used to max out those classes, right? I remember having one of my son Kiernan's classmates, fraternity brother, try and get on the police force. And it was hard. And this kid was smart, clean record, college graduate. I mean, strong. Gym goer, right? I mean, the classic guy, young kid you would want out there providing public safety in your class, but he wasn't able to make it on because it was so competitive that they were just able to cherry pick the best of the best. And this was, what was it? 8 years ago, something like that. Not that long ago. My kids, my oldest son is 30 and he's just not that old. Right. So it's like, this didn't happen that long ago. It's a small class because look at the thankless job these people do and the nonsense they have to deal with, said Terry Orr. It's a miracle that anyone would want to be a police officer in San Francisco or Portland or Seattle or LA or Minneapolis or New York or, the list just goes on and on and on. Because in most of those cities, you took a crap on policing. You just took a big, huge old number 2. And this is what you get. These are the effects. People looked at cops and went, God, do not want that job. You could not pay me enough to do that job. And so I talk about the inelasticity of, new construction homes to the market. So when you've got massive demand for housing, you can't fulfill it because the demand curve versus the supply curve, it's super inelastic, meaning And the minute you have demand, you can't start building. And yep, here we go. There's this long development process. And so by the time you recognize that need, all right, let's get the class going. Let's get 50 of them on board. Well, even when you don't have the 50, when you got 6, it takes a long time to get them in, and then they got to do their field training. So even if you have a massive demand for a lot of cops, your ability to supply those cops to the marketplace, to the cities, it's not going well. It's very inelastic, just like new construction to market, that time period, because it takes years. And oftentimes the market has changed by the time these homes get built and they're up and going and you can sell them to the public. The market has wildly changed from that super, huge demand market to, all right, it's been 4 years, but we got the plat up and, finalized, and we're finally getting our certificates of occupancy for these new homes we've built. Now we can sell them. Hey, that's great. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, demand's down. Looks like we mistimed that bad boy. That happens all the time because it takes so damn long to get here in the Pacific Northwest, to get a house, get a development up and through platting and actually physically constructed to the point where you can sell it to somebody and provide housing. Same thing with cops. And especially right now, because you've got so few that want to enter that process. City leaders said it's critical the San Francisco Police Department increase staffing as soon as possible. In Oakland, they are just getting rocked. I mean, some of the crime stories I see coming out of Oakland are just like, oh my gosh, that is horrible for those communities. Horrible to the point where the NAACP of Oakland came out and they put together a 10-point bullet plan. And they basically said, you got to hire 1,000 cops. We need to get to a level where we can provide police officers to keep our streets safe. This is the NAACP, right? And they're like, you got to immediately hire these cops. And that is a great goal, but it is not what I call an actionable goal. You can't hire 100 cops in Oakland right now. It's a no-go. It's a hard no-go, because I think the attitude towards policing in Oakland, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it is even worse than San Francisco, right? Some of the shenanigans that you see going on in Oakland, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to podcast that, because that is so far outside of the realm of reasonable that's just, we can't even talk about. Some of those podcasts end up on the private channel. That's where a lot of the crazy stuff happens. Anything to do with drugs ends up on the private podcast. $10 a month. If you care, it's there, reasonabletv.com. I'm not able to podcast those stories because there aren't, advertisers friendly for those topics. Don't talk about drugs. Oh, no siree. A healthy and functioning city requires families, seniors, students, tourists, and customers to all feel safe. Investing in public safety first will lay the foundation for the rest of the work needed to create our best San Francisco. The problem is that you're not going to have enough cops for a very long time, because you're going to have to change public perception about how police officers are viewed in today's society. And we just got through with the whole George Floyd thing. Some of you people say fentanyl Floyd. Got through with the whole George Floyd thing. And that whole, crap on police officers, that was a real deal. And now you are seeing the impacts. And not only was it, those of us who said that defunding the police was a terrible idea. This is one of those impacts that I think folks didn't really, you're not going to be able to recruit police officers? Bad public image of what police officers do. I get it. I get it now. But you know what? We need 1,000 up in here. So pronto, let's make that happen. Problem is you can't. It's just a no-go. It's just a hard no-go. So you're stuck with it. This is what you got. This is what you got. And I think that's what a lot of folks are not recognizing is, well, just hire some more cops. From where? Everybody's short. And the Democrat cities are way short relative to the Republican ones. The Republican ones were like, I'm no rocket science, but defunding the police doesn't seem like the greatest concept ever. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Even Mayor Durkin here in Seattle, Mayor Durkin said, you know what? Defunding the police is probably not the greatest thing that you guys could be doing out here. Because you take that money away from policing, they wanted to defund 50%. And they had discussions here in Seattle on that very topic. All right, guys, here's what happens. You defund the police 50%. You whack 50% of the police budget. Here's what that is going to impact. We're going to have to cut this, and this. And then your communities are going to be left with this, and this. And you know what happened? Do it anyway. I mean, that's the geniusness that sits on the Seattle City Council. Do it anyway. So we defunded it 17%. It didn't have a huge impact, but what had more of an overall impact is the inability for all of these cities to bring new police on. That to me is a major, major impact from defund the police. And it's because all of a sudden, it happened to that one guy, George Floyd, so they're doing it to everybody. So let's take the money out of policing and let's put it into social workers, because you don't have another system to put it in, right? I mean, am I missing something here? Putting the money that you were going to take and that you took from the police officers, from the police funds, putting that money into social programs. Nothing wrong with the social programs that are there to build communities so that you don't have a lot of these issues, but you still need to have enough cops to keep the city safe. And when you defund, you do not have that ability. So now here in Seattle, we're going to send out some social workers. We're going to send out some social workers on calls that somebody determines, that 911 operator determines that, this one doesn't need a cop. Let's just see how this goes. And I don't think social workers are on board with this concept either. I mean, there's probably, because I see those comments. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to go on those calls. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably with you as well. Because you're not physically trained how to handle some of these situations with nut jobs on drugs. And that's what you're going to get calls for. But they're initially not going to look like they're calls that need a cop. But when does that change? You don't know, because these people are mentally ill and or on drugs or a combination. You know what I mean? So all of these things kind of play a big piece in today's, economy for policing. And it's not happening to the point where San Francisco has a class of six cops. That is horrific. I mean, moving forward, if you're in San Francisco, you should be concerned. You know what will happen down in San Francisco? Yeah, they're not going to be concerned, because they're like, yeah, it's been fine. I mean, it's good. Yeah, the interactive poop emoji map, it's just showing poop all over, but we're okay with that. So, you've got this mentality where they don't want cops. So ask and ye shall receive, right? And so that is what these cities are getting, even though there is a turn. Mayor London Breed, born and raised in San Francisco, and is basically saying, hey, we need to get some more cops up in here pronto. It's just not happening, right? And this is why, because you can't recruit them. You can't get them into the academy, and they're not available from outside sources. They're not available to poach from other areas. And you give them a bonus. You want to be a cop and pay the cost of housing in San Francisco, or you want to be a cop and commute, miles? Nah, you spend, half those guys spend half the day in their car anyway, right? The straight beat cops. So yeah, you don't want to drive and then drive and then drive and drive. And I know there's lots of different varying positions within the force, but you need some more cops on the ground. That's in my opinion, what you need, because that is what's lacking. And then you need the police to be able to, like, so for instance, if you're a female and you're assaulted here in Seattle, the bandwidth of the investigation that needs to happen for that type of crime, you know what kind of crime I'm talking about. I can't say it because heads will spin, but, that type of criminal activity needs to have you need to have more police man hours dedicated to get a conviction. We just don't have that. And so a lot of this criminal activity, it's just happening, and there's nothing we can really do about it because you don't have the manpower. You don't have the number of detectives and everybody else in between to get the convictions, to put the bad guys in jail. Meanwhile, you got 6 police officers coming into San Francisco. And, 1 or 2 of those will wash out. I would almost guarantee you. So then you're down to like 4. Now you got cuatro. We got a lot of Spanish words in today's podcast, right? We got cuatro. That's not going to work out well when you're down 600. So expect to see much of the same here because there is nothing on the horizon that I can see that is projecting to Generation X, to Generation, not X, but Generation Y and millennials. Hey, you guys should become cops. There's nothing out there that sends that message. In fact, it's the opposite, right? All these stories that I cover here on News for Reasonable People, they are examples of craziness that's happened. And a lot of it has to do with you don't have enough cops on the street. So even mayors that have been elected because they're progressive are like, we need some cops up in here. Ain't happening. Not a happening. It's a no-go. And this has been the most recent example of, I thought we were going to hire some more police. Yeah, I guess not. All right. How about those Bears? How about those 49ers? How about we do a reference relative to San Francisco? How about those Raiders? Oh, yeah, sore subject. Oh, remember Lyle Alzado from the Raiders? That guy was tough. Oh, that guy was mean. All right, that's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.